Welcome to the No Gay Podcast, episode 3 with Peng and.
Two over here.
All right, and so today, for our topic, we're going to talk about personal health. I know you used to work out a
Yeah.
lot. I used
Well,
to
yeah, you too.
too.
And so I think
A
we
little
have
bit. A
we have
little
a
bit.
little history with that.
Yeah. So, yeah, I used to actually compete in competitive bodybuilding.
Right. So you were competitive bodybuilding.
Yep.
Now, how many years did you do that for?
I did that for 7, 8 years, out of high school. My first competition, I believe I was a junior in high school, senior in high school, maybe.
Dang, you competed when you were in high school
Yeah,
already?
yeah. So
Holy
yeah,
shit.
weird.
With adults?
There was a teenage division.
Okay.
And then I believe I was in the open division. I mean,
How big were
I
you?
got destroyed in my
Yeah,
first
yeah, yeah.
competition, and then even in my second competition too.
How many total competitions did you do for bodybuilding?
I believe like 6.
6,
That
yeah.
was such a long time ago.
Yeah.
I'm 32 now, so my first competition when I was like 16, 17, and then my last one I was maybe 23. I believe I was. Yeah, and it was something I did, and I competed. I trained every day, and I dedicated so much of my life to it, and I had a lot of fun doing
Yeah,
it.
what made you get
But-
into that?
I was just bored. I was just bored.
But did you
I-
watch a movie? Did you see like Pumping Iron, or did you see Arnold, or did
No,
you like open up a muscle and fitness mag,
know,
or like what was it?
Yeah, being a little guy, I'm 5'4" with the right shoes on, so I played
Yeah.
football, and I wrestled. So I was always into health, and I was always trying to look to find out like how I can get an advantage. I
Yeah.
played football in the inner cities, so I mean I was amongst
Yeah,
the
yeah,
trees.
yeah.
So I was lost, and so I was always trying to look to see how I could gain some kind of advantage. So working out was the only way I can do that, and I couldn't. I couldn't outrun anybody else, but I could potentially outlift somebody in the
Right.
gym. I can put in a little bit more work than everybody else, and that's what I did at the time. And I just did it, and then eventually I found out, oh, like there's a sport behind this. I can just
Right.
and there's a sport directly related to me just working out, and then me being my crazy self, I was just like, all right, I just Googled it, signed up for it, and then I just showed up. I did a little bit, did some of the homework, of course, and then I just
And this is
showed up on that day. That was like
2012?
2007.
Oh, that's 07.
2007
okay. So
was my first
07,
competition. Yep. And so I went, bought a thong and some tan,
Do they call it? Is it just called a thong?
posing trunks.
Posing trunks. I
But
like that.
thong is funnier.
Yeah, yeah,
So-
yeah. No, that's what I was
Yeah.
wondering. I was like, do they
Yeah,
actually
so-
call it a thong, or do
so-
they call it something else?
Yeah, there I was, 15-year-old kid, dieting and like competing, whatever, throwing some tan on, bronzer on, and then
And you did all the dieting, all that by yourself, even
yeah.
cutting prep before the contest, all that you
well,
did by
my
yourself.
first one, I had no clue what I was doing, so I
Right.
was just kind of like, oh yeah,
Where was it? Like in Minneapolis or
Yep,
something?
it was just in Hopkins, Minnesota. Didn't drive, had no clue. I had to beg my brother to drop me off.
Yeah.
That's
funny.
I had to
That's
be-
hilarious.
And then, of course, my brother was busy, so he dropped me off, and then I had to beg. There's 2 shows. There's a morning show, and then there's a evening show.
Yeah.
So in the mornings, that's where they call that prejudging. That's
Mhm,
where they do
mhm.
a lot of their judging. And in the nighttime, it's just more for entertainment. That's where
Mhm.
they hand out the rewards. So got dropped off to do the morning show. And like I had no ride home or anything, so I just had to hang around for like 7 hours before
Yeah.
the evening show, and I just kind of walked around, sat in the sun for a little bit until like the evening. I couldn't eat anything, because I was still competing that evening, and so I just kind of just sat around for 7 hours, like just walked around at the park or whatever. I tried to soak up as much sun as I could. Like I was tanned and fucking in
Right.
my thong and whatever.
Yeah.
And then I just competed that evening. But that was just kind of the start of it. And then 7 years.
I mean, how
down
did
the
he?
line.
So after that first experience,
Yeah.
first of all, do you think it went well, or
I had fun.
yeah, you had fun?
I had
Right.
fun.
So
I had
it
fun,
motivated you to do it again,
yeah.
right? Obviously.
Yeah. I met some great people.
Nice.
One of the guys I still keep up with every now and then. And so, it was just fun. Like my whole overall experience with bodybuilding, I would say it just, You know, it was a good time. I learned a lot about myself, about discipline, and I met a ton of great people. And
Yeah.
that was, there's nothing else more that I could take away from it. That would make the experience better, because everything that I do now, I still kind of have that same bodybuilding mentality where I put everything in and
Yeah.
put all of my efforts in, and so I learned so much from it, and yeah, like
Yeah, I mean that's how when I first met you in 2012, I just knew you as this bodybuilder kid, and I
yeah,
just remember being like, "Oh, okay. First of all, cool. There's a Hmong dude actually competing in bodybuilding. Two, he's a young dude, younger than me, and three, I'm like, bro, like he's pretty freaking huge, dude. And
yeah. Was
so
I don't
yeah,
know.
he's
Yeah.
pretty
Okay.
freaking huge.
Okay.
So I'm like,
Yeah.
yo, that's fucking awesome. And then eventually turns out like, Hmong world, it's all small community. Turns out you're like friends with some of my friends and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And eventually we met. But yeah, no, I always liked that you did that. And it was just always like, I remember there's one time we had a training session. Actually, I just came to take pictures, but I was like taking pictures of you lifting at the old Muay Thai gym over there, Koo's gym,
Oh yeah.
and back in the
Yeah.
day, and just like, I mean, you were going hard at
Really?
that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were going hard,
Dude.
hard.
Oh, dude, I've erased all those
Yeah,
memories from my mind. Nah,
I
but
mean,
yeah, it was a good time, and I dedicated so much of my time and efforts to it,
yeah,
man. I worked out every day.
yeah,
People would say they work out 6, 7 times
yeah. What
a
was your
week.
routine? What was
Dude,
your
I worked
routine at
out.
your peak when you consider your peak of your bodybuilding time? What was your routine like? Like let's go on a week basis. A 1 week training routine for paying at your peak.
I worked out every day. They say you're supposed to have your rest days. I might have rested like once a week or
Yeah,
something.
2 a days or just 1 a day.
One a day. There was a time where I did do two a day.
Yeah,
Then I just realized that's too much.
yeah,
Your body grows when you're resting and when you're
right.
healing, and if you're just constantly tearing it down, it doesn't allow time for your body to
Did
grow.
you ever have the mindset of, did you cross that bridge at one point when you also felt like if you weren't in the gym, you weren't putting in enough work?
Oh yeah.
You know how
Oh,
there's that
well,
too, right?
today, like I struggle with that today because a lot of my restlessness today, I attribute it to them because like I would always be physically stimulated
Mm-hmm.
at the time, and then now if I don't have enough physical stimulation, like my brain goes
Yeah,
crazy, like
yeah,
like
I agree with that.
yeah, and so I like so now like I'm not doing much now, and all
Yeah, do
I
you live still? Do
nope.
you run? Do
Nope,
you
don't run,
you
don't.
just work and be a
There was
dad?
a period I tried to run. My body's not
And then
built for running.
yeah, and you were doing Muay Thai for a
Yep.
little while too.
Yeah.
But now you're doing absolutely not like
No.
no not.
Every once in a while, I'll do some
You
yoga
don't feel
with my
bad
wife
about
and
that?
kid.
You don't feel bad, or you're like completely? Are you completely content with just not doing anything
I am
anymore?
completely content.
Wow, I wish I could be there.
If I never set foot in a gym again, I will be happy.
Dang, dude,
My
that blows my mind because I wish I could feel like that.
dude, my brother-in-law is moving in, and he has weights, and just the smell of the weights, like from coming from the basement, I'm just like, oh, get this
Dang,
out of here. I'm like,
that's
get this out
crazy,
of here.
man. That's crazy
Yeah.
because I just assumed that you would like always keep a part, not to the level that you used to. Obviously, that's probably pretty crazy,
Yeah.
but just some of it. But that's kind of
Yeah.
interesting.
I-
Why
I-
do you think that is?
I'm
What-
still very in tune with my health. I'm
Okay,
still
okay.
very in tune with my
Okay.
health, and I think there's just in other ways.
In other
When
ways.
I talk about mental health, my approach towards my body and my health is completely different now.
Yep.
Where, I still stretch and I still do some yoga with my wife and kids just as for fun and just for as to maintain my body. I'm getting older now, so I just want to make sure I can continue to move well. And then I diet. I still eat relatively clean.
Yeah.
And that's how-
Explain that for the people um who maybe are not as familiar with the subject. You come from a bodybuilding background, so obviously bodybuilding is very much about right your diet and that's how you get into
Yep.
be in peak shape for the shows, and that's how you bulk before you're cut, all those things. And so explain like your diet today, right? When you say that you
Yeah.
don't work out as much anymore like back in the day, so your fitness now is done another way by
Yeah.
mental health and as well as diet. But like, explain what a diet to you is today, and what kind of diet, what sort of diet are you following, and why?
You know, when you get into the health journey, any decent personal trainer, even a personal trainer that doesn't know what they're doing,
Hmm.
would tell you that diet is 90% of the
Right.
work. If you, especially if you want to lose weight or just maintain it. And so right now, like as a person who doesn't work out, I do some farm work and move some hay bales here and there, move some beat boxes, but it's not, what I used to. It's not like the weight or the amount of intensity that I used to do stuff. But yeah, like dieting is 90% of it. I eat mostly meat.
Okay.
I
You're not one
I
of them carnivore diet dudes, are you?
No, 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 no. I try to. It is tough. What I try to do is I try to stay away from any kind of processed
Process,
grains
yeah.
or processed oils. So your vegetable oils or anything like that, or grains. And I just realized that
What
any
kind of
kind
oil do you use?
I use what is that? What is that?
Like
Uh,
olives or like
Olive and then
coconuts or
olive, avocado, and then coconut
okay,
oil.
okay.
Yeah, and then so I try not to use any of the like corn oil
Yeah,
or
yeah.
any of the vegetable oil. I think avocado and stuff like that is still considered a vegetable oil. I use a lot of like lard from like pigs
Okay.
and stuff like
Natural
that.
fats.
Yeah, and
I
that's
like that.
yeah, and
That's
that's the
cool.
thing too. Like you realize, remember when we were kids, they would tell you to stay away from like animal fats,
Hmm,
and that
hmm.
would cause like you to have like all these issues, hypertension, raised cholesterol. Studies are now showing that a
Well,
lot of that is
isn't
from
that the
processed
premise of
oils.
keto diet? Isn't that the premise of keto diet? Like more fats in your diet so that
Yep.
you,
Yeah.
because you consume,
Yep.
you're going to burn your carbs first, right?
Yep.
And then you burn fat and
Yeah.
then you burn proteins. Is that how
Yep.
it goes?
Yep. And if you're in modern diets, there's so much carbs, your body just never
Right.
actually
You'll never
finish.
burn out unless you're
Yeah.
super active, super active.
Yeah. And everything that we used to think we know about health sciences has changed.
But it's always changing. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
always changing. Like
It's
I remember, so I used to work out a bunch too. I never took it to your level, right?
yeah.
But I used to work out all the time, 2 a days. I mean, in the Marine Corps, firefighting.
Yeah.
So I come from a background
Yeah.
of
No, but
working
you
out
were
as
very
well.
serious too
Yeah.
about it.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Still
Um,
are, right?
yeah, I try to
Yeah.
be like I said. That's why for me it's so weird that for you, and it's awesome that it works for you. But for me,
Yeah.
it can't. Like it's a part of my identity, and I
Yeah.
just can't let go of it. Um, where was I going with that?
Changing sciences, food
Oh yeah,
science,
you're right. So when I
health science.
freaking my mind's freaking
No,
lost.
you're good. You're good.
Yeah, yeah. But back then, I remember in Africa on deployment because all we were doing was eating and working out. And I bought like the Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding, which just came out at the
Yeah.
time. It was like the modern edition at the time, and it was just like, and maybe you're partly because I'm young too, but it's like, dude, I would eat everything, anything. It was all about protein, protein,
Yep.
protein. At that time, they weren't even really on the macro thing quite yet. Like it wasn't as big because there was
Yeah.
where that became now that's kind of a thing, like counting your macros. Like that
Well,
was
that
even
was, but now that's cycled out too.
yeah.
Now, a
So
little
that
bit.
wasn't even in play quite yet. And so it was just like eat like crazy and lift. And like now when I go back on YouTube, because it's been a long time, I kind of still follow my old ways. Now when I go back and try to learn like the new way that they talk about diet on YouTube or reading articles, it's like, what? First you told me that the egg yolk was bad for too much
Yeah.
cholesterol. Then you told me egg yolk is good. Then you told me fat was bad. Now you
Yep.
tell me fat is good.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, first of all, now I know not to believe everything because
Yep.
things are gonna change all the time. And now I know that I gotta adjust kind of for myself and be smart. So I have like general rules that I
Yeah.
go by, right? Like you said, less processed foods, less things that come in a can. I try to shop in the fresh produce aisle much more. You know, when I first enter the grocery store, I want the majority of my food to come out of that first section
Right.
as opposed to like go all the way around. Now, one thing that I wish I could do better is like I don't have a farm like you. I still live in the city.
Yeah.
Is I've tried the whole organic thing, man, and it's freaking expensive.
Yeah.
It's America's system pinning us down where it's like I want to eat the healthiest shit,
Yeah.
but
Well,
unfortunately that costs way
even then,
more.
like organic doesn't actually mean it's healthy
Yeah,
at
so
all. Like
explain that because you're a farmer.
organic is just the guideline. Essentially, if I wanted my farm to be organic,
Organic, yep.
I signed some paperwork saying that I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z, and maybe they come and test a few things here or there.
Yeah, but you're still
Um,
using some herbicides,
um,
some you can still use
n-
some chemicals to keep your crops from not
uh,
dying entirely or
yes and no, but it's it, what it doesn't do is like, okay, for chickens, right? They say, all right, so you have to raise your chickens in a certain way in X amount of days before harvest. But it doesn't take into account the breed of chickens, how you're raising it,
right.
the food that they're taking in. So one thing I'm doing is pastured raised, right? So I move my chickens onto new grass every day. And so chicken's diet um, they're omnivores, so they have to eat
Right.
meat, they have to eat protein along with along with grass and vegetables and grains. One of the things they try to sell you now on is like vegetarian fed eggs. Well, that's like chickens. That's not a chicken's natural diet. So those chickens that are fed vegetarian diets are not healthy, and they're producing a less nutritious egg.
Yeah.
And if it's a vegetarian fed egg, um, but my basic rule of thumb now is just like whatever's kind of natural, and whatever is less processed.
Right.
There's when there's less hands involved in it, it's easier. One of the things that makes me laugh nowadays is when they try to make fake meat.
Yeah.
Right, we know that today, like the issue today is oils and seed and processed grains. So instead of eating meat, you take grains, you process it down, and you cook it, and you mix it with all these chemicals and oils to call it meat. Why don't just eat the meat?
Yeah.
I get there's
But some people feel good about not eating meat.
yeah, yeah, and
That's the thing, right? That's the thing. Some people are just like, I don't eat meat. I'm a vegetarian. I'm
yeah,
a vegan. You know,
and
so
that's
and
okay
respect.
too.
Yeah,
What I
respect to
would say
everybody.
to that is just like, dude, like, um, just go out to your farm. I think it's more important that you build a relationship with the animals that you're eating versus just not eating them
Yeah,
at all.
because you're a
Um,
hunter too, right?
yeah. Oh, I
Yeah,
tried to hunt.
you
I
tried
tried
to
to
hunt.
hunt. I tried to hunt. I suck. I call it
Did you ever
sitting in a tree.
Did you
I
harvest?
never harvested anything. I
Okay.
freaking
Yeah, me
sat.
neither.
I
I've gone out, but I haven't
Yeah. It's
harvested.
like 100 hours on a tree, and all I do
You
is
never
watch.
saw one?
I've seen some
Too far?
too far
Because you're
away.
bow hunting?
Bow
Yeah.
hunting. But it's just like I watch sunsets and sunrises. That's what I
Yeah.
like to tell
Which
people
is cool
from a
too.
tree. Yeah,
Which is
it
cool
is.
too.
Read some books.
Yeah.
A lot of quiet time.
Yeah, we're wannabe hunters because I know
We fucking
all
suck.
of our Asian Hmong guys out there. There's probably
Yeah,
those guys are
yeah,
hardcore.
and they're laughing at
Yeah,
us
they're
because
hardcore.
spend so much time on a tree but never
Yeah,
harvest
they're there
anything.
every weekend, every night. Yeah,
Yeah, but so you're still working out now? Like, tell me about your routine.
yeah. So I still try to. Obviously, now I'm super busy, and it sounds like I'm starting off by making an excuse already.
Yeah,
But I'm just really busy running a business. I'm in the
like
middle
who
of trying
is
to
it?
really grow
Yeah,
this business, so that takes a ton of my time. So a lot of my workouts. I don't have kids yet, so I even have less excuses. But I try to. I'm much more on a cardio kick
yeah.
nowadays. Um,
Okay.
in my early 20s, I wanted to get nice and strong and look beefy. I think like
Yeah,
most 20-year-old guys. Um, now I realize it's just not. For one, my body doesn't take it as well. Like
yeah,
I will have joints and ligament pains everywhere if
yeah,
I lift heavy. I also think it's super dangerous now, like to put 350, even
yeah,
315
yeah,
on a squat rack.
yeah,
To squat 315, if mentally I'm not there, that's likely
yeah,
I'm gonna fuck something
yeah,
up. So I kind of just went away from all those things. I still lift. I'll still try to lift at least 3 times a week, which is way less than I used
yeah,
to. But I still believe in lifting just because I still want to have stress to my muscles and bone
yeah,
density, all those things. I still want to do all those things. But where I really focus on now is cardio. And the reason for that is I think that for running in my business, I need a lot of energy. You
yeah,
know, I need a lot of energy to run my business. And I also need a lot of energy and I need mental focus too.
mm-hmm.
And I think running and cycling really does that for me, right?
Yeah,
Because yes, it's boring as hell. Yeah, That's people's biggest thing. Like,
Yeah.
it's so boring.
Yeah.
For an hour running, for an hour or two, cycling for an hour or
Yeah.
two. Yeah, it is boring. But first of all, that's my one chance in the day where I'm not focused on like trying to grow
Right.
my business. So it's
Mm.
my time to liberate,
Clear-minded.
clear
Yeah.
my mind.
Yep.
It's you're naturally, organically giving yourself fucking, you're boosting, all your feel good,
Yeah.
the hormones.
Yeah.
And so you're kicking all that. And then,
Well, sorry to interrupt, but that's kind of the misconception with this working out, where I think people go, I don't have time and I don't have the energy to work out. But you don't realize, similar to therapy, it's like, yeah, if you dedicate this amount of time to this, it's kind of a cheat code, because now
it makes everything else
it makes
better.
everything easier
Yep.
and better, because now you have
100%.
so much more energy to tackle
To
so much
tackle
more.
things,
You're
yeah.
gonna be more efficient doing
More
everything
effi-
else. So like when you
100%.
take that hour a day to work out, you're gaining like 2-3 hours of efficiency, because you're
And
so
probably,
much.
hopefully, time at the end of your life as well,
Yep,
by just
yep,
having a consistent, healthy lifestyle.
Yeah.
But yeah, so for me, it's less about, obviously, I still care about the way I look and the way I present myself. That's still important to me.
Yeah.
It always has been, and probably always will be. But more than that, these days, it's really for the mental focus that it gives
Yep,
me.
yep.
And I also like pushing myself mentally, which you get that in bodybuilding as well.
Yeah.
But I still think that like a 5-rep max is not as much of a mind fuck as a 2-hour run.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
a 2-hour run,
Absolutely.
2-hour run sucks.
Yeah.
It's one thing to do 5-rep max that's gonna take you, a minute, versus like 2 hours of running on your feet and just
Yeah.
your mind telling you, okay, you're tired, okay, stop, okay,
Yeah.
your knee hurts. Like, so I really like to do it for the mental power, and
Yeah.
like it's my serenity, and it makes my life just a little better. I think without it, I'd be too tensed up, stuff
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
So yeah, I have to. I still try to keep it as part of my workout. This year, I just bought a smart trainer. It's where you hook up your bike to
Yeah.
your road bike.
Oh,
And so it's not a game. It's called Zwift. But
Yeah.
it's a training platform
Yeah.
for cycling. So I'll still crank out miles on that. I just started
Yeah.
that this year, but
I just got my wife a Peloton.
oh, nice.
And I think I'm considering jumping on that.
The thing
too.
about the bike that I find that the reason I got it is because jumping on a treadmill, it's still hard.
Yeah.
I was like, man, jumping on a bike, dude, I have no excuse. I can literally watch a movie and jump on the bike. Now,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong though. That thought has changed because it's still hard as hell on the bike.
Yeah.
It's not as hard as running, but it's still like it still kicks my ass.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's just part of the routine, man. I have to. I don't think I can go away from it. Coming
Yeah.
from a marine background, that's where I got a lot of it started. To eventually being a firefighter, that's been actually a hard thing now that I'm just a business owner
Yeah.
in a field where I don't technically need to be fit.
Right. Yeah.
So it's kind of been hard to be like, okay, you got to maintain in shape.
Yeah.
But now it's like, okay, why am I maintaining in shape? It has
Yeah.
nothing to do with the job that I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it makes me be a better person.
Yeah. And
You know,
I
at the
don't
end of the day.
and I don't want to mislead people by saying I don't work out. Like, I just don't work out in the traditional sense
Yeah,
of
right.
like going to the gym and stuff like that. There's tons of stuff to do.
Yeah, but how
on the
many steps do you
farm.
take a day in a farm? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I'm
Like,
still
you're
moving.
walking
I'm
your
still
ass
I'm
off.
still
Yeah.
very active. Putting up fences, taking
Mhm.
down fences, feeding animals, carrying a water pail,
Yeah.
lifting logs,
Right.
cutting trees, whatever.
So just
I'm
be
still
active.
yeah. I'm
Be
still
active.
active. I don't want to put it out there like, I don't work
Yeah.
out at all.
Yeah.
I mean, just not in the traditional.
Just not
sense.
interested. Yeah. Because for you now, the idea of like, I'm going to pack my bag and go 1 hour commit to the gym, it's like,
Yeah.
I don't want to do all that.
Yeah.
But you're right. You're still working out. Yeah, I mean, every day. I mean, when you own a farm, that's why they always say those farm boy, what do they,
Yeah, the
farmer
boys.
muscles? Yeah, farm boy muscles.
And and so my approach now is just different. It's just more holistic. Like, do you describe to the Dr. Huberman where he goes the sunlight, sunbathing, and how that affects your health? Or
I definitely listened to Andrew Huberman.
Yeah.
Right now, my top fitness listens are gonna be him, Nick Bear of
Yeah.
Bear Fitness. Yeah, I do listen, but I don't.
Okay.
Well, tell me more about it because I don't know that much
his
about
thing
it.
is just kind of like getting sunlight, right?
Yeah.
And I think what that does for your
Bunch of
hormone
vitamin D.
levels, yep, and like and yeah, what it does for your hormone levels, and so I'm kind of on that kick where it's just like I'm not building muscles or building cardio energy. I just want to take care of my health and do what's
Yeah.
appropriate. And what I'm realizing, kind of the trend, is just keeping busy, keeping a good mental health, eating clean, and doing kind of like,
Don't drink this.
yeah, oh yeah, this is probably the worst thing, but
What do we
I
get?
live off
26
this.
grams of sugar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I live off this, unfortunately. And then yeah, so I limit a lot of my 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 sugar intake. Um, yeah, so I just kind of do, it's almost kind of that paleo idea
Yeah.
where I just kind of eat what's natural and
Yeah. I
what
like that.
occurs
Yeah, I like that.
naturally and
I
exists.
think I think the big idea, like if I was to share from my experience, and let me know if you agree with this, is at least just awareness of your
Yeah,
diet, right?
yeah, yeah,
Be aware of what you're eating. Like I'm sure when you were bodybuilding, you were strict as hell,
yeah,
right? Like
yeah,
pizza's a no go. Like how much cheat
yeah.
meals did you have? Did you include them a lot, or were you very, very, very strict? Because I
Oh,
mean, you were pretty serious.
I was very serious, but I incorporated cheat meals. What you have to understand is when you go to that level of extreme, like it's unsustainable.
Exactly.
You
That's
know,
the thing.
yeah.
Unsustainable.
And health or is who can do X, Y, and Z the longest, right? So working out isn't a matter of how good of a workout you can get that day. It's how many times can you do that over
A
an extended
lifetime.
period.
A
Yeah, a
lifetime.
lifetime,
Yeah,
right?
a
So
lifetime.
it's like the workout that works best for you is the workout that you can do every day for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Um,
Hell yeah.
and
I like that.
yeah, and
I like that. That's true.
similar to dieting. If you're crash dieting, all right, doing something
Extreme.
extreme,
Yeah.
you're gonna bounce back. In you're gonna cheat just as hard.
Yeah.
And then what you don't realize is what your body is going to when you do cheat, your body's gonna hold on to everything.
Right.
So when you go to that extreme. So it sounds cheesy and it sounds like everybody always says this, but it's just kind of maintaining, and it's
It's
about
a
self
yeah, it's
control.
a lifelong practice, you
Yeah,
know, and
yeah,
that's one thing where I've really changed my mind as well when it comes to working out and stuff like that. I used to really beat myself up for missing workouts, for messing up my diet. I remember like I used to be pretty, even though I wasn't competing, I was very strict on my diet, and
yeah,
eventually I got to the point where I'm like, yo, I don't get paid to be doing this.
yeah,
And I'm really kind of losing on quality of life by not allowing myself to just have something freaking good like an ice cream or whatever.
yeah,
So now I'm all about like now I've kind of turned more like not really a foodie, but like
yeah,
I'm more curious about trying
yeah,
good stuff, and cooking and stuff like that. But now I understand like you can have all that, it's totally fine. But all I have to do for myself is I still have to go to the gym, I still
yeah,
gotta work out, be active, and I still gotta be aware and mindful of what I eat. So that if I've had ice cream for 3, 4 nights in a row, I'm like, yo, you need to chill on the ice cream for this
yeah,
week.
yeah,
So I think the awareness is the biggest thing. And I'm always gonna be a huge proponent on we're not talking about mental health in this episode, but I'm a huge proponent for physical health, because I think it kind of carries over to everything else that you
yep,
do.
yeah,
If you're not physically active, I mean, I'm a huge believer that like that the body needs to be moved. That the body, back in the days, back in the old times, we were hunter gatherers. That we
yeah,
were moving. I'm still like I'm a very big believer in that. That the body needs to be used. It's like an engine, right? Like
yeah,
if you don't put good fuel in the engine and you don't exercise that engine, then everything's gonna seize and
right,
rust, and
exactly,
so
exactly.
that's a big, that's kind of how I look at everything. But
Yeah, and kind of to your point, to you kind of mentioned mental health is. I think you're gonna see throughout this development of this pot of all of our episodes is everything is health related.
everything's health related,
Your
man.
job, your
Hmm.
relationship, to your friends, to your significant other, your mental health, your
Yeah,
physical health. So everything is
and you
can be
gotta
tied to health, and you have to be mindful of everything that you do.
yeah,
And and put your best foot forward and
Well, if you're
just
healthy, you provide a good version of yourself.
yeah,
For yourself, first of all.
yeah,
If you're healthy, you're providing the best version of yourself to yourself.
yep,
And then after that, it translates directly into the energy that you put into the people around you.
right,
And
yeah,
if you're healthy in every aspect that you can, now we're not going to go down the road of like all the things that are uncontrollable,
yeah,
but the things that are controllable,
yeah,
they should be exercised, in my opinion, whether it be diet, mental health,
right,
spiritual health, whether you're religious, all those things like that.
yeah,
But it's like, it is just to make the life experience a little bit more like
yeah,
better quality, and so
yeah,
that the people around us are like, because somebody
yeah,
who never works out, I mean,
yeah,
just minus the gym bros.
yeah,
But like when you see somebody who's like in very good health, like they work on their mental health, they work on their
yeah,
physical health, they work on their spiritual health, those people tend to be mostly like pretty zen,
yeah,
they're pretty
yeah,
zen
yeah.
because they really exercise like all aspects of their
Yep.
health. So I mean,
No, no,
I'm
you're
huge on it.
absolutely
I'm
true. I
huge on
think
it.
when I was exiting bodybuilding, a dear friend of mine's, who's a bodybuilder, he said, that's probably a good thing. If you look at this gym and you just look at everybody in here, there's kind of like this unhealthy
There is
obsession.
because
Like
that's the crazy part,
and
right?
I don't want to like talk badly about anybody, but yeah, there's kind of this pursuit of this idea that is unattainable,
Yeah, yeah,
and
perfection. Yeah.
yeah, and so I don't know, and um, yeah, like, are they healthy? Do they look healthy? Yes. Physically, are they doing are they doing all the right things for your physical health? Yes, but there's probably other things um
Probably
that
more
aren't
ego, maybe
maintained.
more ego than health.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That yeah.
Yeah,
And when
maybe
maybe when
more
it
ego
comes to
than health.
relationship, mental health, and stuff like that aren't
Right, it's
maintained.
not
Yeah,
addressed, right?
yeah. And
100% your
so
energy's on your physical.
yeah, and so I think I just kind of realized that, like, and that's why I kind of got out because, and at the time I was just graduating college, I was getting hurt, and I was just kind of like, well, I had to make a decision because I worked really hard in school to kind of get to this point to graduate and find a career. Like, am I just gonna not pursue that and
Right.
continue bodybuilding? And I don't know if the decision I made was right or wrong, but overall, I feel good about the decision I
Yeah,
made
yeah. No, for
to
sure,
not
for
compete
sure.
anymore, or to not
For
even
sure.
work out anymore.
Yeah.
But
So to the monk, to all the guys and girls out there that are working out currently, any advice from your experience? Now looking back, having gone to the extreme,
you know,
looking back now where you stand today, what would be your advice to the ones who are going to the gym still?
you know what? Just maintain
Don't
those
stress too hard.
relationships. Just maintain those relationships because, like I said, the people that I've met in bodybuilding were some of the greatest and most genuine people I've
Yeah.
met, and I still maintain some of those relationships. Those people are great, and just have fun while you're doing
Have
it.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah, have
Yeah,
fun while
that's
you're
that's
doing
where I
it.
was going to is like
Mm-hmm.
training specific things if they're like, "Oh, well,
Yeah,
I want to either become a
yeah,
bodybuilder or whatever." And now that you've gone down that road and you're past that part of your life, like what would be your advice to
yeah.
them like
Have fun
just have fun?
and like everybody that you meet is gonna help you kind of further your journey along, and don't take them for granted. And yeah, I'm never gonna say don't go as extreme or don't do this or don't do
Right,
that
cuz you kind
because
of did
yeah,
that.
you
Yeah, you
have,
did that.
and yeah,
Yeah.
it's a learning process, and you have to kind of put your body through the loop to figure it
To
out.
understand, yeah.
Yeah, and so what would you say to the people not working out currently?
I would definitely
I
say
know we touched on,
yeah, you
we
could
gave a
start.
ton of reason why people should, but
Yeah, I mean, I think more than anything is just first of all, I don't think you got to go hard. That's the big
yeah,
misconception. I think you don't have to go hard. Like, yeah, you shouldn't go to the gym and look at the guy and girl that's like wearing the spandex everything,
yeah,
carrying a gym bag with a gallon of water on one hand and then freaking protein shake on the other hand.
unless that motivates you.
Unless that motivates you, yeah. But I think you should just, at least incorporate it into your daily life, or at least like a few times in the week, just
Hmm.
just to get started, and just to honestly, it's more for me, and I think for most people. It all goes back to mental health. You know, it makes you feel better about
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah.
It allows you to kind of throw some demons. If you get some demons
Yeah.
inside of you,
Yeah.
allows you to throw some demons away. Um, I would say just start and get and do it, and just don't be intimidated or feel influenced by
Hmm.
everything that you see around you, because that's the problem in the
Yeah.
fitness world.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
too much of that, you know,
Yeah.
and it's like that shit's intimidating, man.
Yeah.
I still feel intimidated myself when I go in there. Sometimes
Yeah.
I get caught up in my own mind. I go to the
Yeah.
gym and I'm like past that whole lifting thing, and I see some dude lifting, cranking 225 for
Yeah.
reps. I'm like, damn, like it makes me feel like I want to go back to that.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, dude, first of all, I don't have as much time, and I
Yeah.
have more worries in my life now than to get in there and be like, let's see
Yeah.
how many 220 reps
Yeah.
of 225 I can crank out.
Yeah.
But yeah, just getting started, you know, that's a big thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would say too, like, man, yeah, I've seen a lot of people's physical journeys. I spent a lot of time in the gym. I would say the biggest transformation I've seen was just I've seen this huge guy. I don't even know his name, like, but he would just show up to cycling class, spin
Yeah.
class every day,
As
and I
like
always
cardio or what?
yeah,
Cardio
cycling, yeah,
to cut weight
yeah,
or
yeah,
like
to cut
okay,
weight.
okay.
And I always tell people if you don't know what you're doing, just sign up for a class
Yeah, just trying for a
because
class.
and
Let
just
somebody else lead you.
yeah, and just kind of give all control over to the
Mhm.
person leading the class. And cycling is great because you're in a dark room. There's tons of people, and no one really cares what you're doing. No one can really see what you're doing, and just kind of relinquish all control over to them and just do everything they say. And there's like, and just show up to those classes.
Yeah.
Those are the best things where I
And the
just
truth
say,
is not that many people actually care about you
yeah,
in the
yeah,
gym.
yeah.
If you care, it's cuz you think they care. It's kind of
Yep, yeah,
relative,
yeah.
right?
Yeah,
And I still
it's your
have
own.
that. I
Yeah,
still get in there and I'll still
yeah,
kind of look at how people look, and then it's like
yeah.
that's my own self-confidence issues.
Oh yeah,
And it's good. I try to use it in a motivating
yeah.
way, but the truth is, the best way is to not give a shit
Yep,
because nobody else really gives
yep,
a shit. Like you
yeah,
don't even know this person, so
yep,
who cares? And like we talked about, personal health covers more bases than physical fitness. So
yeah,
you might have a killer body and be extremely mentally
yeah,
ill, right?
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not like not to say to be not even not mentally healthy, mentally ill. Like
yeah,
the guy who's looking the greatest in the gym probably eats so clean
yeah.
that it's to his detriment,
Right.
you
That
know?
yeah.
Eh,
That it may hinder some relationships
Yeah,
with
yeah, yeah,
like
exactly.
outside
Yeah,
of the
he
gym.
can't hang out with friends because he's too like, no, I gotta
Yeah.
sleep in early
Yeah.
tonight. I gotta get some
Exactly.
reps tomorrow morning.
Exactly. And yeah. And I I just can't stress the idea if you're looking for physical health or if you want to or a good workout like we said earlier just you know the best workout is the one you can do every day.
Yeah,
You know and so
simple shit.
yeah.
Walking outside, walking in the woods,
Yeah.
simple
Yeah.
stuff. Like get out there and just move your body somehow, right?
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. And just sedentary lifestyle will just get to you eventually, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, unless the future changes my mind and AI proves me wrong that you could just sit on your ass all day. I mean,
And we
I
might
don't
get
know.
there. I don't
We
know. We
might
might
get
get to
there,
that
and
level.
maybe I'll realize that I
Yeah.
was wrong the whole time. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I
no, for
doubt it.
sure.
I doubt it. You know what? The more technology that gets into nutrition, um, the worse it gets. The more
Yeah.
process. That means the more
Oh,
processed
dude, I used to work
food
at
that
I
they.
used to be a security guard at um I won't even say the company name, but I used to be a security guard that worked at a food factory um that were making like honey buns and like
Yeah.
snacks and stuff like that. And I remember walking through those rooms doing my job, inspecting for whatever, like leaks or whatever. But I remember just watching like all these snacks
Yeah.
come out of these machines and
Yeah.
belts, and I'm
Yeah.
like, dang, okay, big scale manufacturing of snacks, and this is what we put in the vending machines. This is
Right.
what we put at the gas station. And you look at it come out, and you're like, dude, that's not like my mom baking. Yo, that's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and you just realize like the industry of making money in the food world is so big, And it's kind of hard because if you want to be mindful of your health, it requires that you do some homework. You
Yeah.
know,
Oh, for sure.
you can't just, and I think that's the hardest part, right? Because
Yeah.
maybe we're fortunate too that we
Yeah.
can actually think about that. You know, some people just want to put food on the table,
Yeah.
and so for them, it's definitely gonna be harder. So I blame the big corporations.
Oh,
I
yeah.
blame the big corporations for making bad shit cheap.
Well, yeah, I know this is kind of getting off in a tangent. Nobody really cares, but I think I think the sugar factories. I think they were kind of that. Um, One of the reasons why they said animal fats or fats were like originally
Oh,
bad
it's
for you.
almost like a
Yeah,
political
yeah,
move.
like I think
I could
they
see
paid
that.
for some kind of study to kind of
Prove
say
it wrong.
that to say that hey, animal fats or fats in general is what's bad for you, not this processed sugar that we're
Yeah.
making. And so I know that kind of that's getting to some Rogan
Yeah,
conversations,
that's some
but
other conversation. But yeah,
yeah, at the end of the day, I think our bodies has evolved a certain way to process certain types of food, and I think the more we stray away from it, um, the more complications we're gonna have. You know, they talk about certain types of diseases. Colon cancer is becoming more and uh, more more of an issue for
yeah,
people our age, and so they're actually recommending people in their 30s and 40s to go and get their colons
right.
checked up. You know,
Because that's
but
usually something you do a little bit later.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's usually something they don't
late
recommend till
after
like
40.
40,
Yeah, after
50s,
40.
right?
Yeah.
But they're saying because of all of the processed foods that we're eating and the poor nutrition that we're getting,
Yeah.
They're starting to recommend it for younger and younger people. I think the Black Panther, the actor, actually died from colon cancer. I
Oh
don't know. I
yeah.
might be wrong, but yeah. So it's becoming more and more of an issue.
Mhm.
So I don't know. Get your colons checked. You know.
Not looking forward to it, but I'll
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah.
But I'll have to.
Maybe we'll dedicate an episode
Yeah,
where
maybe
we
I'll vlog myself going through
yeah
the experience.
yeah
So last thing I want to kind of address too is like let's talk a little bit about like things in the Hmong culture that
oh
we
yeah
think are pretty poor uh health wise. Let's keep it to not mental health because that's
okay
could
yeah
be a
so
whole
just physical health
conversation of its
yeah
own.
oh yeah
But physical health in the Hmong community, things that you see that we're not gonna say should change or yeah, we're not gonna speak for the Hmong community obviously, but things that you just see personally at Hmong things where you're like, dang, this kind of hurts our
I
people.
I think the alcohol consumption
Yeah,
is
man,
ridiculous.
shit's pretty
We
bad.
might have to dedicate a few different episodes to just alcohol itself, but yeah, the alcohol consumption is it's almost and I struggle with this too because it's almost impolite to not
Right.
offer
Right.
a
There's that
beer.
social pressure of
Yeah,
beer, alcohol in the Hmong culture,
yeah,
right? And you can look at it in many different ways. You can look at it as like it's a sign of respect that you should have that cup of beer,
yeah,
but then you also, and I've gone both ways. It depends
yeah,
how I feel. Sometimes I
yeah,
go in there and I'm like, let's go, let
yeah,
me. I'll fill one up and give me the next one. I'll crack it for the next guy.
yeah,
And then there's times where I'm like a little bit stricter about my diet or
yeah,
just not wanting to feel like shit the next day. And
yeah,
I'll be like, no, sorry, I'm not drinking. You
yeah,
know, it depends kind of how my mindset is going
yeah.
into it.
And it all comes down to self control for sure. But I think when we
As a
have
culture, yeah.
when we have a
As a
culture
culture,
that
it's
kind
pretty.
of pushes that, I would say
It's
that
not
that's
great.
one of
It's
yeah
not great.
it doesn't set you up for success.
No,
I'll
it's
say
not
that.
great.
I will
It's
say that.
well, I mean, you know, and a lot of it is I mean, there's so many risk health risks behind it, right? It's especially if you're a person who tends to attend these events quite a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, you're putting a beating on your liver with just all the drinking. You're adding like all these empty calories
Yeah.
nonstop. I
Yep.
mean, you're
Yep.
chugging like
Carbs.
six beers
Yeah.
is on the low end, right?
Yeah.
6 beers is on the low
Yeah.
end. You can
Yeah.
probably do like 10.
Yeah. It's also funny because like when you go to the doctors now, they're like, how many beers do you drink? Do you drink 1 or 2 or 2 to 4 or like
Yeah.
4 to 6? And you're like, oh, dude, I have like 13.
Yeah, if I went
just
to a Hmong
yesterday.
wedding, I had
yeah,
like a
I
dozen.
had,
And it like leads to other issues that we see in the Hmong community too. Like I'm a sufferer of gout, and
Yeah.
gout is highly affected by alcohol,
Yeah.
right? And so Hmong people are known, Southeast Asians are known for having a
Yeah.
lot of gout and inflammation that stems
Yeah.
from all these wheat type barley and drinks from
Yeah.
beer and
Dude,
stuff.
I swear I have that too. Like I have like a certain degree of gout. But that only occurs when I do a lot of heavy drinking.
Yeah,
And
you're
because I
right.
haven't drank
But
too
the
much
thing
lately.
that messes with me that I find is funny is that like there's a lot of individuals, and I ain't judging. It's your life. You do whatever you want. But it's like if you know you got gout or you've suffered from gout before, and I've taken the risk, but I try to still limit it. So I sound
Yeah.
like a hypocrite right now.
Yeah.
But it's like that exacerbates and makes the condition worse.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, in our culture, it's a sign of respect to drink it, and I respect that part of
Yeah.
the transaction. But I just it's almost too much sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
and then especially the worst part is when there's cultural pressure, like, oh, you're not drinking it, no
You know,
respect, blah blah blah. It's like
I
what are you
would
doing, dude?
love to understand kind of the cultural side of it. Because I'm pretty sure back in the homeland like 30, 50 years ago, they weren't
So
freaking
yeah,
chugging
so let
Bud
me tell you
Lights
this. I
on
just
a
came
regular
Yeah, so let
basis.
me tell you
Yeah.
this. I just came back from Laos 2-3 months ago, right? And that was one of my big questions that I asked
Yeah.
them. Because I was curious too. First of all, when I got over to Laos and I went to some Hmong people's house in Long Ting, the first thing they did was offer me a beer
Yeah.
to the rim in a cup on a plate,
Yeah.
same as like what I experienced
Yeah.
at home. So I'm like, okay, I guess it's the same. But then I asked them, I said, hey, back in the day in Laos, was drinking this common as well? Is this
Yeah.
like something that the culture has always done, or is this
Yeah.
something kind of new? And according to this guy, he said it's kind of new.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the new generation, whether it be in the US or in Laos or
Mm-hmm.
Thailand or whatever, it's kind of a new thing.
Yeah.
Versus he said, like, and it makes sense, right? The war was happening at the time and stuff, but he said that it wasn't as common. And,
Yeah.
and that's kind of what I wanted to know because I wanted to know is our culture, does it have a huge influence? Is alcohol a part of our culture and has it always been that way?
Yeah.
Or is this something new? And so it sounds like it's kind of something new according to
Yeah.
him. So
And I would bet like just alcohol just was harder to come by back then. You're thinking people maybe brewing their own rice wine. And if you are, that takes time and that takes a lot of money.
yeah.
And I'm sure you're just not pouring it out on a weekly basis
Yeah,
towards
yeah.
people you don't even really kind of know. So I'm pretty sure it didn't happen as often, and it probably was a more and they probably held like it was more dedicated for like
Yeah,
celebrations
maybe
and
an event or
and
something.
very specific things. But I think it probably just didn't happen as casually as
Yeah.
it does in today's world, just because we have access to it so much easier.
Right. So to spin it all around, I think
Yeah.
we're getting close to the end here. We're about to end it, but I have one last question for you. What's your thoughts on white rice?
It's not bad,
Oh, is it?
dude.
It's
That's
not?
that's one of those
Is
things.
is brown rice and white rice the same
Brown
these
rice
days?
is worse.
Is
Remember
that new though?
That's a newer
Yeah, that's
thing.
new
That's a newer
because
thing. Remember, brown rice
yeah,
was
brown
the
rice
good.
was the
Yeah.
thing. So explain that to me because it sounds like you've done a little bit of research on it again. I always thought that white rice was the bleached version of the brown rice, which didn't remove a lot of the
no,
complex fibers which you wanted in the brown rice. That's how I
no.
always understood it.
I believe there are some strains of rice that are come naturally brown,
Sure.
and I believe brown rice. The idea of that it was better, and we had to do some research. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, but it's like nutrient enriched.
Mm-hmm.
Like enriched rice is just means more carb dense,
Okay.
and when you have more carbs, it's not great. And then when you have um um I the structure that the carbs more complex
Yep.
carbs, then it just
The way it
becomes
breaks
more
down.
difficult for your body to
To
break
break
down.
down, right?
So I think because it's nutrient enriched,
Mhm.
it's not ideal for your body.
That off. Yeah. So
So again, one of those things where you have to be up on it because
yeah.
like
You gotta
just a year or
care.
two ago, brown rice was a thing, and then now we're kind of realizing, oh, that's not the way to go because
Right.
especially now we're kind of moving away from carbohydrates as your ideal source of energy for your body. Um, and so that extra carbs that the brown rice provides is probably not needed. So I think the
Yeah.
idea is that white rice
I'll have
is,
to do a little research on
yeah,
that too, because like you said, I did read that recently, and
yeah,
I always grew up on the idea that brown rice was better. But like you said,
yeah,
it's a lot more complex than just the color of the rice. Actually,
yeah, yeah,
it's a lot more complex than
yeah.
that.
So white rice, you can eat it.
Yeah, yeah, man, you gotta love. Dude, how can you not eat white rice if
Yeah.
you're Asian person, man?
Yeah.
White rice is,
Oh, dude, as an adult, I've learned
dude.
to
I eat
just
white rice all
fucking,
the time.
yeah, dude, when I don't
I
eat
try
it,
not to eat a ton of it, but I
yeah,
will. I do eat it a lot,
I miss
but I
it. Yeah.
do try to control the portion size.
Yeah. I crave it.
I do
I
try to
crave
control
it.
the portion size. Um, but I think that kind of wraps up our episode today, which was really just to focus on like just talking about our experiences with personal health.
Yep.
What we do in our day-to-day lives, whether what we do today and what we've done in the past, and then kind of addressing some of the things in the Hmong culture too when it comes to health. It's a super important topic that we both come from worlds where we've really thought about it a lot.
Yeah.
We've
Yeah.
thought about it a lot. We still think about it a lot in
Yeah.
our own ways. For me, it's still doing cardio. For you, it's the holistic approach
Yep.
of diets and where your food comes
Mm-hmm.
from and stuff. And so we just kind of wanted to talk about it, raise some questions. Ultimately, if there's people out there that are watching this that are not super knowledgeable or have a lot of experience in this field, or whether you're an athlete or a nutritionist or anything like that, we'd love to hear from you guys too, just so that we can learn and teach some of this knowledge forward to other Asian Hmong folks out there.
That's right.
So I think we'll leave it at that and
Sounds
catch you
good.
guys in the next episode.
Sounds good.
All right. Peace. See ya.
Take care.